call this meeting to order. We'll stand for the pledge, and then Don, would you please? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity to come and meet and discuss the county's business. We thank you for the country that you've given us and all the blessings that have been bestowed amongst the ones we realize we have and the ones we don't. We ask that everything that we do here today be pleasing to you. In Jesus' precious name.
Thanks. All right, I assume you all got a copy of the minutes. I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Move to approve the minutes.
Mark Davidson, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Any changes, discussion, or otherwise? All right, all in favor of approval of minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, public comment regarding the agenda items. Please limit yourself to 3 minutes if you have comments. Is there any? All right, seeing none, we'll move along right into money matters. Mark, looks like you're up first.
Good morning.
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 Looks like I have 5. Can we do 1 through 4 and number 6 and 7, I guess?
Sure.
Okay. Number 1 is our quarterly reimbursement from employees that eat at the jail. We take those monies and it's deposited back into the meal line quarterly. Number 2 is air card reimbursement. That's going back into our communications line in the public safety lit fund. Number 3 is an insurance reimbursement from a crash. That goes back into our vehicle repair line in public safety lit. 4 is the same, that's 3. 6 is the sheriff's work release fund. That funding, that of course is a user fee fund, that money's already there. We're asking that $15,000 additional dollars be put into the repair building and structure to offset county general and pay that out of the user fee fund. And 7 is donations to the K-9 fund that we're asking to be put into that fund so they can be spent out for vet care and dog food and things along those lines. The $600 donations are two employees from HHSB that gave their annual, I think it's their birthday, that they can donate money. And so 2 HHSB employees did that, and then we also had a private citizen, Ladoga, that just wrote a check to go into that K-9 fund.
Good deal. It's good to have citizens that's concerned about those kind of things.
Absolutely. I sent them a thank you letter, just so you know, so
Appreciate that.
they give every year, by the way.
All right.
Move to approve.
Okay. Second. Gary, any questions for Mark on any of these? Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. All right, the number 5, $350,000 to Riverboat County Share Contractual Services. Jennifer, you want to address this? Or is that?
Well, at the last meeting, we talked about using the riverboat money to fund the county's shortfall for E911 services. That, we had to move a bunch of lines out of one fund and into another fund, and that's where we talked about using the money from, was for that. And then possible other software adventures.
All right. I would entertain a motion to move this money.
So moved.
Mark Smith, second.
Second.
Greg, motion second. All right. Any discussion or questions about what we're doing here?
I didn't quite hear that. Now that goes into the 911.
Yes, we had a shortfall of,
This sheet right here, that I handed out to all.
How much,
Talked
okay,
about
that's
it.
here someplace. How much is in the riverboat?
Right now, the cash balance in Riverboat, 256, 832, 91. I handed out these balance sheets to y'all too. They show all the fund balances.
right. See, right now we have 256,000 in the riverboat fund. We're looking to move 350,000.
You're looking to appropriate 350,000 because you'll get another 98,000 here in about 3 weeks. We get $98,000 a year in Riverboat.
Is that consistent?
Yes, very. It varies slightly in the last couple, 3 digits of that number, but 98, we're pretty much frozen at that.
Are we going to be discussing about funding software?
That's on the agenda.
And what was the discussion, or what will be part of the discussion, where that's going to come from?
Yeah,
Would be Riverboat?
that would be an option, yes.
Is that just the shortfall, or does that fund the whole thing? That's what I don't quite understand.
Your shortfall is 133,000.
Okay.
So this is partially to fund the shortfall and then partially to look at software options the treasurer and I are requesting.
So that's the total of the 350.
Yeah.
Well, we need to have a discussion about, Mr. Mealy, we need to have a discussion about free software before we just move the money. I don't know, I mean, we've got a shortfall of 130.
133,
I didn't write that down.
728.97. I gave you all this sheet, which breaks it all down.
It looks to me like we've got to pay that.
Is that,
Well, here's the deal. I advertised higher than what you needed. So that's why we put the 350 on there. If you just want to go ahead and do the additional for the money that the E911 people need at this point, and then we have our other discussion, why not do that and move along?
I think that would be prudent of us to do that.
Well, that's a shortfall this year, but we're still going to have 130,000 shortfall next year also, right?
Or more.
Yeah. Jimmy, aren't you on that board? Isn't that true? We're going to have 130,000 shortfall next year?
I won't put a number on it because that can change. There's going to be a shortfall next year because the 911 funds are not increasing and to keep up with the cost of increasing public safety and increasing run loads for everybody, fire, police, sheriff, so on and so forth. So yes, there will be a shortfall next year unless between now and that time, which is going to be kind of hard pressed to do, and that is the interlocal agreement is addressed with the city to change that 196,000 that each county and the city pay in per year. So that's the issue that kind of falls before us is the fact that 911 funds are not increasing any. Everything else is increasing as far as run loads. That 196 has been there for approximately 5 to 6 years, Dan, and that's a 10-year agreement. So at some point, probably going to have to address that agreement or raise our hands and hope the state comes through with something in 9/11 funding, which I don't see that happening. We've been battling this. This has been an ongoing issue for years and years to come, and what it has done is it's finally caught up with us. So, we basically scratched the surface as long as we can scratch, and now it's time to pay the piper and figure out how we're going to go forward.
And I was hoping that we could address that during the budget hearings and just see if we could get closer on the shortfalls.
I guess
It's a bit of a misconception too that we're having a shortfall, and it's the real cost, and it's been the real cost. It's just that we had money left over from a previous expenditure that has been supplementing the real cost up to this point. So we knew this was coming, but I also am addressing Dick's question. I think the demand for the services are on a sharp increase, so the cost of that is going to go up regularly, I feel like, in personnel and in the needs that they have there. So let's put it this way, I do not see that going down. And then that, Terry, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we go ahead and appropriate the $133,000 to the CCC and address the software issue later in this meeting.
Okay. We already had a motion on the floor.
Okay.
That would have to be withdrawn. And we would do that.
I can withdraw that.
Okay. No, just,
Is that 133.50% shortfall?
that's 50%.
That's, we,
Half.
So that is half of it, 133.
as you said, this is really not a shortfall.
Exactly. Yeah, I think I
We've
should
been
reverse
spending
it.
this kind of money year in, year out. We just had reserves within this department to pay the offset.
It's actually an appropriation for funds, not filling a shortfall.
I just want to throw out the idea that we have public safety funds. Are they encumbered in any way, the public safety monies that we have,
Not the entire amount.
which is a renewing fund, not that Riverboat doesn't renew? I just wanted to throw out the idea of discussion about tying that to the public safety money. That's renewable every year, because we're gonna have this bill coming back on an annual basis. It would seem to me that if we did that, that would fix that fund, unless there's something that's gonna be coming up that those funds would be encumbered by.
I was kind of hoping to address that in the budget process for next year also, as far as that, how we're going to fund the appropriated profit money for that. I just thought that at our last meeting, we discussed that we would take it out of Riverboat for this initial occasion and then address it in the future budget.
Right. As far as what we did last year and developed the lit public safety tax, it was just a guess of how it was going to be applied. And so far we've used it wisely as far as covering the sheriff's budget. And we knew that there would be some excess, or hoping there would be some excess. It looks like there is. We just need to develop how we're going to use that as far as public safety. And, we knew it was just a shot in the dark, basically. We knew what was projected would come in, and so far I think maybe that has exceeded our expectations, but it's still, this is still all new to us, we're trying to use it in a wise way. Gary has a good point, there's $275,000 in that lit that is not committed yet, right, Jim?
That is incorrect.
Okay.
The budget.
Enlighten us.
The budget that was put to the public safety lit this year left about $60,000 in cash that was not, appropriated anywhere. So that's where you sit with the lit money. Now, we anticipate those revenues to increase next year, but we don't have the official numbers yet. We just keep getting estimates from them. And the first estimate and the second estimate changed by $800,000. So that ought to be fun to try to budget. But it's going the right direction. I'm just, we'll have hard numbers soon, we're promised, but I don't, right now we're still just getting estimates.
Okay. So the 275,000 that's shown here is,
The cash balance, yeah, that's what's sitting there in cash right this minute. That has nothing to do with the appropriation balance. This is just a cash report, not a budget report.
so it's not been appropriated yet.
It has been appropriated. You appropriated it this January? All except 60,000, basically, right around that number.
Yeah.
Don't know if this will help. Of course, if the commissioners would agree, I think, we may be able to assist a little bit if CCD money can be used for this shortfall. Because we are done purchasing vehicles this year, and we have around $56,000 that we were going to do a reduction out of that line to purchase new vehicles. So I don't know if that can be used, CCD can be used for this shortfall, but that could potentially be $50-some thousand worth of that shortfall, so.
Thanks, Bruce.
Yeah, that definitely helps. And I think that, appreciate that, Mark. Yeah, we still should appropriate the balance of what we need out of the riverboat. And if everyone's in agreement, we would deduct $50,000 from that 133, using money that Mark is willing to give back, and take the balance of the 133 minus 50 out of the riverboat, and then address it in our budget as we see the public safety money, how much it really is after a full year.
Steve?
So is that your motion?
I make that a motion. I mean,
Yes, Jim?
Is it okay and legal for CCD money to be used for 911? That's what I'm curious, I
That
don't
was my
know.
point, getting ready to I think we would have to have the legal advice on that, but I believe CCD is limited to 27 to 30 different things, and I don't think that probably qualifies, but we could look into it.
I honestly would like to have a discussion when it gets time here about taking the cars out of CCD and putting them back into the lit fund itself, where they ought to be. Use CCD what it's for, what it's supposed to be used. It can be used to do what we're doing, but that's not the intent. You've got a lit tax that covers that. And somebody said this 911 should probably be addressed in the lit tax as well. I would like to see you tip that.
Jim's right, there are certain categories for that, CCD, and frankly, I'm not sure if it falls in one of those categories at my fingertips. I don't know if Dan does.
I don't think it does, but maybe the safe thing to do is if you made the appropriation out of river vote and then looked into it, so you could use CCD, could come back, reduce river vote, increase your CCD if it's allowed. But yeah, that statute, it's sort of refusing, it refers you to 27 other statutes. And I know that we can look at our most recent reestablishment of that fund, because I listed all the things it can be used for because they said we had to. So we know where we can look, but maybe the safe thing to do would be to do the entire thing out of riverboat, and if you find you can use CCD, you can come back in your next meeting and do a reduction of riverboat and appropriation of CCD. That's maybe the safer way to do it too, for sure.
Yeah, look at that statute, it's like hide and seek. You gotta go back and forth, and it's complex, but I like Dan's idea.
Right. I kind of started this discussion, which I think is good. But my original question was, I mean, the 275 in public safety, was it encumbered? And you answered that it is. So it's really not available. And I have no real quarrel with paying for it out of riverboat funds, other than we were advised, use more restricted funds anytime you can, because you can use riverboat for anything, and it's less restricted. So I was looking, probably for those kind of accounts to use from. But I really have no objection to pay for that out of riverboat.
I want to withdraw any motion that might be on the table for me.
Okay.
And I would like to make a motion that we appropriate the $133,000 for the CCC out of riverboat.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Dick, second. Any more discussion on this? And then as we discussed, if there is a possibility that CCC money could be used for that, we would use that for CCD money. We'll just check into the legalities of all that. Get our ducks in a row. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. And this will cover through the end of the year, Jen, as far as we know?
As far as we know, that dollar amount is based on the assumption that they're going to spend every appropriation that they currently have. So,
And just currently too, when we had discussed this, but just as a reminder from last month, part of that figure was $15,000 to catch up what the shortfall was in 2017. So it was actually 117, I believe, for budget year 2018.
Right. Okay. Number 8, 15,000 to planning grant for contractual services. Agreed?
What's that? Yes. On the moving line.
Yeah. Copy. Okay. So number 8, the planning grant, and we might as well do number 9 while we're at it. It's all coming from the same place and being spent. So I would entertain a motion to move this money.
Can we have a discussion?
Let's make a motion and then discuss it.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Gary. Is there a second?
Second.
Dick, second. Okay. Any questions or comments on this? Mark?
I don't think we have any real choice but to approve this because it's already a done deal and contractors have been paid. But this, this grant, along with the money from Indiana West Advantage to pay for this comprehensive plan, I feel like I've been strong-armed by the commissioners and the Economic Development Board to push this plan forward without going through and asking the fiscal body, because I think they probably knew that we may not agree with the process. So, you know, I will approve this appropriation, but in a very disgruntled and disappointed manner that this is how it was done. Just don't feel like it was right in so many levels for, especially the money from Indiana West Advantage to get into the hands of a planning consultant without coming back through us. That just seems unethical. It's a done deal, but I think it needs to be noted how I feel about it anyway.
Anyone else? Yeah, I kind of feel the same way that we were bypassed on all this. Do you guys have any other projects coming up? You got anything coming we didn't know about? Or may have to look over it? All right, all in favor of approving this appropriation, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. 5-2, carried. Okay, moving on to,
Who were the two that voted no? Those two? Okay.
the B team. All right. Moving on to number 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Looks like they're all interrelated. Hey, Mark.
Hello, Mark Bickle from the Probation Department. What we're doing is just, we have some grant money that was awarded, and we're just plugging it in to establish lines.
Okay. I appreciate you showing up, by the way.
Yeah.
So I would entertain a motion for 10 through 14.
So moved.
Dave moved, Don seconded. Any questions for Mark? These are kind of grants like you've had before.
Yes.
It's just
Yeah.
been ongoing for a few years.
Oh, yeah, probably 5 or 6 or more.
Any other questions for Mark or anything? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you for showing up. Okay, looks like we got some transfers coming up. Jennifer? Good.
Yeah, mine is pretty much as stated. I have a surplus of appropriation in my property deputy line, and I would like to move that to office supplies to cover, I have to buy more checks, basically.
Buy more chairs.
Buy more checks and paper, yes.
All right. Got your motion? Mark Davidson?
Second.
Greg, second. Any other questions for the auditor? How much do the checks cost now?
They're about 50 cents a piece.
That's what I was thinking. That's what it cost me.
Yeah, because we have to buy kind of high-end, high-security
Right.
checks.
All right. I think that's why we decided to just direct deposit paychecks a few years ago, just to save that 50 cents per employee. Anyway, all in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. And you guys gonna cover the Coon Bridge transfers too? Or,
Yeah, that's not
okay, ambulance.
We just have 2 invoices that need to be paid. One of these will be paid now, and the other will be paid by the end of the year. So we just need to transfer money to cover those invoices.
Okay, for bridge inspections.
For bridge inspections, yes. And then we'll get money back from the state by the end of the year.
Okay. Heard the request. Do I hear a motion? Mark Smith? Second?
Culver. I must have been thinking about lunch when I talked about it, sorry.
Any other questions for the highway on this?
Will the state reimburse that 100%?
80, it's an 80-40
It'll
split.
be 80% reimbursement.
Uh-huh.
And it'll be before the end of the year? The reimbursement?
Most likely. But it is a very slow process.
That's always,
We don't know.
that's always a loaded question with the state.
Oh, that's true.
Terry and I clear back from our council days to laugh about that because once the money goes there, it comes back whenever they're ready. And sometimes at whatever percentage they say. We dealt with this in public defenders and stuff in the past, it's supposed to be 40% reimbursement, they didn't have enough money, so they sent us 32. So don't hang your hats on anything, JC, I guess is what I'm saying.
Hopefully it'll be by the end of the year. Anyway, okay. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Mark? Yeah, quickly, what's up?
I'm back. We're just moving money to pay bills. So we have some grant money available to pay a probation officer. So we'll be able to use that court referral money to pay some outstanding bills. None of this is taxpayer money. It's all user fee. On this category, it's all user fee, and then we'll supplant it with grant money.
All right. Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve 4 and 5 in this transfer rule?
So moved.
Dick, second.
Second.
Greg, second. Any questions for Mark on this? What kind of equipment are you using?
We're paying bills. Let's see, some of it's